Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, in case you ain't know so, and welcome back to another dope episode of Sports with SoSo. Coming to you live, y'all. This week, the Marlins really are in the wild card hunt. Dolphins football is back, and so is OnlyFans. Messi is still undefeated in the MLS, and the Hurricanes get off to a great start. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go! Yes, sir. We back. Feels like forever, but it really isn't.
It's been a forever and a half.
It's been a good minute. Been a good minute. Good to see you, my boy.
Good to see you, brother. I wonder how our listeners feel. You know, those that ride or die with us.
I mean, hopefully,
if they noticed that we weren't around last week.
For sure, they noticed, right? Because I got a couple of messages. But if you really keep up with the show, you're subscribed to the YouTube podcast, to the show on the YouTube channel, Sports with SoSo.
Yep.
And we got a lot of great content out there right now. We got the 365 flag football video, which is doing awesome numbers. Interview with Vic about Terrence Crawford and Spencer fight was amazing. We have the latest episode that we did prior to this one before we took that vacation here. Yeah, man, it's coming out. And now we got some BKFC event information, not information, but content to put out there pretty soon too. So shout out.
TBT.
Yeah. Shout out to Jesse. Shout out to Jose, man, for holding it down. But yeah, bro, it's been a lot, man. And a lot of things have happened in the time that since we've last recorded.
Yeah. And the summer.
And the
officially,
summer, right?
Labor Day, right? Usually that's what Labor Day marks.
Right. Kids back in school officially.
The dog days of summer are completely over. Football is back.
Exact.
We are back.
Yes, everything is
back. This is the best time of the year.
Yeah, for sure. It is the best time of the year because you get all four major sports happening at the same time. Right?
I love you got sports equinox.
Yeah, right. You got baseball. You got football going on. You have college football going on. And then the start of hockey later on this month, you know, like there's a lot happening in this fall. So,
well, I mean, if you talk about us locally, which is what this show does,
right?
We do got a lot already ramping up. I mean, we went from having just the Marlins to, you know, the Hurricanes just kicked off. Dolphins are about to kick off. Messi's tearing it up. You also got FIBA going on.
Yes.
Which, I mean, maybe you're not following FIBA, but USA still just got their first loss, and now they're bounced back today with a huge win.
And not only that, in that tournament, you're seeing a lot of the NBA stars, right, playing for other nations, which is cool, right? It's not just
some of the Heat stars, some of the young Heat stars that we have, like Nikola Jovic and stuff
out there balling, boy.
So there is some relevance still to the local community. It's been going on, so I mean, we're ramping up, man. It's like I said, best time of the year, dog. I cannot wait to start getting into this.
Absolutely, dog. Let's jump straight into it, and let's start with the Marlins.
Los Marlins.
We had questioned if they were really serious about being a contender for the wild card spot.
Yeah.
And although, you know, you look at their last 15 games and you're like, all right, maybe they're not impressive. Just the fact that they have that fight in them to kind of pull themselves back into that wild card race really shows a lot about this young team and the makeup of their coach, right? And how they perceive themselves to be, because they really see themselves as a team that can win right now. They have pieces, right? Even though Robertson was a piece that we brought in that hasn't really worked out for us. Everything else has seemingly really worked for the Marlins as far as the trades, right, have gone. Now, this has been such an up and down season for them. It's quite entertaining to see them right where we would hope or thought would be their best for their outcome of the season, right? Being in the wild card hunt. And that's what they are. Half a game back after a 4-game sweep of the Nationals, our first time ever sweeping the Nationals for 4 games in a series. Shows you that the Marlins can really do it, man. And there is really something to the nucleus. Wow, let me try that word again. Nucleus of this team and how it's, you know, developing to become a real contender. That's what we're seeing right now.
That's what we hope for, dog. I mean, we talked about it. You know, that's what we want for the Marlins, is just to be relevant, just to be competitive, go out there and win games, go out there and win series. You know, and in the grand scheme of things, you know, all things considered, we're competing. We're, like you said, you use the word contender. We're looking like a wild card contender. We're not looking like a conference, division, conference, World Series contender just yet. There's still a lot of question marks, but we know we can at least compete for that spot, to be in that conversation for the playoffs. And as fans, I mean, that's what we want. We want the Marlins to at least go out there and start to build something, build off of something, and getting into the playoffs, via a wild card spot, meaning finishing out the last 25 games of the season in a solid effort, or with a solid effort, it can put you in that position. And that's all we want, bro. Just give us a shot, help control your own destiny.
And look, you think about it, as a young team, it's really hard for you to go out there and win on the road, right?
Yeah.
It's really hard. And the Marlins just did that 4 times in a row against a tough national squad, and not a really good team, but they're a tough team, right? Established with certain veteran players. So a very good barometer to say, where are the Marlins as far as the division? Are they better on the upper echelon, or are they on the bottom? They proved right now that they're on the upper echelon so far this season, and they need to continue to put up those type of performances. I was really impressed over the weekend, even though I wasn't in town, but I'm keeping up with Sandy pitching that game, and yeah, he gave up some runs and he had a bad inning, but he bounced back and stayed in it. And that's the kind of Sandy that we saw last year make a lot of appearances. He ended up winning that game when we got the game winning or go ahead run in the ninth. But he pitched 8 strong innings, right? That guy is a catalyst for this team. And when he's put up the performances that he has recently, it makes the Marlins feel confident. Now, does he have his occasional blow up? Yup, it happens with him. And for whatever reason, it's happening this season to him. But the Marlins, when they get behind Sandy and they're starting to put up runs and they can play themselves into a being of offensive type team, that's when the Marlins have really been at their best, and it shows on their road record. They're creeping towards getting to 500. They're 32-36 on the road right now. Not the greatest, but for such a young team, like I said, that's very impressive. And they've been taking care of business at home with having a 38-31 record. That's 7 games, man. And if for such a young team, like I said, it's very impressive. First year manager, bringing in a bunch of new players, calling up players, expecting the most out of the guys that we had that didn't do well last year, i.e. Jesus Sanchez. That guy has been on a tear this season, and not enough people are talking about him, except for the broadcasters, of course, right? But those are the things that are making or made this Marlins team more watchable this year. Now they're getting back into that brand of baseball, and even though offensively they're at the bottom of the National League when it comes to a lot of the categories, they're still consistent, because on the flip side of that, they're one of the most average defensive teams. That means that when they win games, not necessarily on their offense. They win it more on their defense. Could that be a catalyst or something that really helps them push into the playoffs? I think so, because yeah, we got this upcoming series against the Dodgers, which we lost to in Los Angeles, right? 2 games out of 3. Now they're coming here. Can we repeat that, where we give them 2 out of 3 losses, make it back-to-back series wins, and continue to put the pressure on the teams ahead of us, which is Philadelphia, Chicago Cubs, Arizona, Cincinnati? Put pressure on those teams that force them to win more games, and kind of let the Marlins play freely. And I don't know, man. I feel like they have more fun when they play like that. Even Jazz making defensive plays, and he looks like he's having fun more than he did earlier in the season.
So that's right there is it's going to be something we need. You mentioned the catalyst, and we definitely need a catalyst, because we had it early on in the season, and after the All-Star break, leading into the All-Star break, and then immediately right after, we kind of fizzled. Everybody knows that. We're picking up steam again, but we got 25 games. Like I said, this is crunch time. This is kind of like a miniature version of the postseason at this point, because you're talking about 8 series or less, 7 series, 8 series is what you have left. So you can't just rely now on hoping that you get some easy wins down the road. Like you're gonna have to fight for these, because all these other guys that are in the playoff picture already, as of right now, if the season ended today, they're still with that mindset of, we're not in the playoffs yet. We want, we need a better spot in the playoffs, in the wild card. We're only a game behind Arizona right now, who's 70-68.
Yeah.
I think, or is it
No, half game
behind? So the race is real tight, and you nailed it. We got to win this next series against the Dodgers. We have to.
Not only because it's at home, Joel, but because of who we'd be playing next. We would face the Phillies in Philadelphia,
which
right? It's a hard
playing
place.
Some good baseball right now.
Really good baseball, right? That's a playoff fucking team, right? And even if it wasn't a playoff team, they would probably be one of those teams that have a good bet as far as making it to the World Series, right? Because they are such a complete team. They have pitching, hitting, a solid bullpen, really good manager. So you look at Philadelphia and you're like, yeah, that's the series we got to get. But we have to make sure we take care of home and make sure that we beat the Dodgers in order to keep putting the pressure on a team like the Phillies to win. So that way, when we get to Philadelphia, maybe we can make a bigger jump if we take 2 out of 3, right? And now we went from being a half game back to being a half game ahead. That's a huge swing and can really swing the momentum towards the rest of the season. You mentioned it. We got less than 25 games left. Marlins really need to be putting on their best type of baseball and more than anything, their best type of effort.
Yeah.
Because right now, while we have good quality starting pitching, it hasn't been lights out, right? It hasn't been lights out. The best way to help a pitcher in a game is making 0 mistakes on everything. You make every catch, you make every pick cleanly, you make every throw cleanly, even if you may not get the out, but you're putting it on the money.
Sure.
You're minimizing the amount of errors that you guys put up in a game. And that in itself is going to help the pitchers feel more comfortable about putting the ball in play and letting their defense do their job.
So are you saying that the Marlins have an issue with mistakes and errors?
That's what I feel like led them to a lot of their bullshit that happened after the All-Star break. They were playing sloppy baseball. You go back and look, and it's an error by this guy, 2 errors in a game, and then, stupid shit that leads to just bad momentum. And baseball is a game of momentum more than any other sport. If you're in good vibes and good spirits throughout the clubhouse, it's going to show itself on the field. When something's off in the clubhouse, it's going to show itself on the field, right? And the Marlins suffered through that. And I think the biggest thing that they suffered from was the lack of energy. Yuri Perez was providing that energy. He was a young phenom, came out hot, 5-1, this and that, and then the Marlins sent him away. It probably took away from the presence inside of the locker room and made everybody realize, like, oh shit, they're expecting us to win more games now. It's not as fun anymore. And it probably killed the Marlins. Now I think that Yuri's been back. The energy's back in the clubhouse. We're seeing better effort from the guys. We're seeing the team picking each other up, guys, encouraging each other from the bench. Those are things that make baseball teams better. Yeah, you need to have the pieces. You need to have good hitting and all this other stuff, whatever. But you need to have the energy. And right now, it looks like the Marlins have that energy. That game that Sandy pitched the other day when we won 6-4 against the Nationals, we would have lost that game, dog. A month and a half ago, we would have lost that game because we would have been out of it mentally. The Marlins stayed in it, and they got what they deserved, which was a valid W, hard-fought W to complete the sweep. That's what they need, man.
The good news is, luckily we stayed afloat, to relevance. We didn't fall so far below where we can't, make something happen.
Right.
I think, we are still in control of our own destiny right now. And it's a matter of just, we got to put it all together. Like you said, man, we need our guys to not make those mistakes, give the confidence to the pitchers that their team's backing them up. And then most importantly, man, we got to get some hits.
Yeah.
We got to get some hits.
Look, we're facing a very good team in the Dodgers, facing a very good team in Philadelphia, and even after that, Milwaukee.
I mean, the Dodgers don't scare me as much. Sorry to cut you off because their pitching isn't as good as Philadelphia.
We're facing Clayton Kershaw tomorrow, dog. Well, when the recording comes out.
Overall, they're entire like the Phillies have a bunch of guys that can throw on the mound that can sauce us up. So
yeah, there's no doubt about it. But I think the Marlins are definitely on the right path. They're definitely heading in the right direction. It's this season, no matter what the outcome is, right? When we review it, the season is going to have a positive impact on how we look at this team moving forward. Because we know, like I said, that there's a nucleus in this team of really good performers that we can rely on for the immediate future and in the future itself. So, but if we're sticking to this season, I really expect them to win. Let's see, 1, 2, 3... 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 series left. you got to get at least 5 out of these 8.
I agree.
Right? If you're talking about really making the playoffs as a wild card team.
Yeah, because
you got to win 5 series.
You don't do that, unless you're sweeping some of those series. If those are full sweeps, that may be mathematically possible, I guess. I don't even know. But
no, because it's not even division opponents anymore. It's Philadelphia, and then after that, Milwaukee, Atlanta, last divisional opponent that we're going to face. We face the Yankees twice, Brewers once more, and we end the season against the Pirates.
For those of you that don't know, let me just show you a little bit of the playoff picture right now. Diamondbacks are in the 6th spot at 71 and 67. We're on the outside looking in at 70 and 67.
Correct.
70 wins, 67 losses. All right. Some other guys that are in the playoff picture, you got the Brewers, 76 and 61. You got the Cubs, 74, 64. You got the Braves sitting at the top, 90 wins. 46 losses.
Yeah, nice.
That is a unit, bro. Those guys are not to be messed with.
That's a squad, man. And, like I said, the Marlins still have enough. Luis Arias is still leading the majors in batting average. He just hit his 6th home run on the season, has 61 RBIs. Guy's been killing it this year. I don't know what else we're expecting from this guy, but we have pieces. We have enough to make the wild card interesting. Yeah. That's what I expect.
That's what we want.
5 out of the 8 series, Marlins got to win to make it and really put themselves in the playoffs. That shit'll be dope because then we're talking about what? That's 4 straight franchises making the playoffs? No, 3, right? That would be a third.
I mean, what do you call them out?
Did the Dolphins make the playoffs?
Did the Dolphins make the playoffs?
I don't remember right now.
We did. We just lost in the first round.
All right, so Dolphins made it. Heat made it. Panthers made it. MLS is still happening, but we'll get to them right now. And then the Marlins would be the 4th. Yeah. Look at that. 4 straight post-season appearances for franchises down here. That'll be dope. Let's talk about our favorite sport on this show, Joel. I'm rocking my Legion of Zoom shirt, available at Empire Boutique. Holla.
Nice.
Got my dog Tyreek Hill as the first pick of my draft. I was like, this is my dude.
What pick were you?
I was 6 or 7.
Yeah, I got
12-man league, half PPR.
I got him in a 12-man league. I got him at the 6th spot.
Yeah,
I got Tyreek as well, and then I got my dot Tua later on in the draft for the stack.
I didn't go with Tua early. I went with Lamar Jackson in the 3rd round, but I really believe in
wild.
Yeah, big time.
Wild.
I'm wilding, but. Hey, if it works, you guys are going to hear about it. You're going to hear about it if it works, right?
I have a feeling we're not going to hear shit.
But my point being with taking Hill, right, and feeling so confident and taking him is like he put up really amazing numbers last year, right? Overall, as a wide receiver in fantasy and even in the NFL, right? And that was without Tua for like 6-7 games. So even without our number 1 QB, this dude is just producing. So shows me that, yeah, he's the X factor for sure on this offense. Tua is the main guy, but Tyreek Hill is always going to be the X factor. And the fact that we have him here is still amazing to me. It's wild. And then you think about his teammate, the other guy on my shirt, Jalen Waddle, and what he was able to do, right? With pretty much the same stats, right? Without having his main guy, Tua, throwing the ball to him for like 6-7 games. And those guys still put up really good seasons as teammates, like broke records and shit. That's what I'm expecting to see this year really take off when it comes to Dolphins football. I know that we have tons of questions about Fangio and his defensive schemes. How's it going to look? How's it going to look against the Chargers, right? Which we're going to break down a little bit later. But I feel like the most important thing is how fluid this offense is in a way of scoring points in a game often and not struggling or having to take too many drives in order to get points on the board. That's going to really be the main thing for me to focus on this year with this Dolphins team because of how we're built offensively. Even with that kid Arcane making the team, the running back, the rookie running back making the team. He made the team and I was like, yeah, they really like this kid. And I see it because in the preseason he was killing it. And now you put him behind a guy like Mostert, fast, strong dude. We saw commitment to the run early on in the preseason. Now we have 2 really good backs that are explosive, can make plays and break out long runs. And I just think that this offense should be able to score with more fluidity this year, a lot more ease this year, especially with having Tua, you know, back there in the huddle.
That's, I think most people are going to say that's the biggest question mark. I think you're probably a part of that school of thought is Tua.
I'm not. I'm 100% bought in.
Well, I know a lot of people still aren't, and some of it might be, is just his general skill and what he can provide when he's healthy. And some of it is, can he stay healthy? You know what I mean? People are, can he take a fall and all that stuff? He's actually been working on that this offseason, taking impacts and how, how he takes shots and all that stuff. And hopefully he has a healthier season this year, because we've seen already in a couple seasons what he's able to do when he's on the field and healthy.
Hell yeah.
And with the weapons that you just named off, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, our A-Chain, our rookie running back who you just alluded to, Mostert, we have a lot of weapons for him at his disposal. The biggest question mark for me, and I'll keep talking about this until they prove otherwise, is the O-line.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of depth, in my opinion, at O-line. We just traded away an O-lineman
We got a center
division.
back.
Huh?
But we got a center that we had traded for earlier.
Yeah, sure. We're still making moves and stuff like that, but we just signed the guy. We just reset the market for fullbacks in the NFL. There wasn't one, essentially. And we gave a long-term contract to a fullback because he's one of the best blockers in the NFL.
Yeah.
So,
shout out to Alex Ingold.
Shout out to Alex Ingold, man, because
mindset, baby.
he got a 3-year, $30 million deal or something like that.
Yep.
Huge. That's awesome for him, but you see what that kid can do for our offense as far as blocking and opening up holes and things like that. And it's like, I'd love to see that, but who's the guy on the O-line besides Armstead, who was hurt earlier this year in the preseason?
Yeah.
And, who's the guy's going to step up? Is it going to be Eichenberg? Is it going to be Hunt? Who's going to be that guy on the offensive line that's going to make sure that Tua gets enough time to get the ball to all those weapons?
I think a big portion of that is going to be the evolution of Connor Williams, right? I say that because now he's our main center, right? And he's the guy that we're putting responsible. So I feel like now that Connor knows that he's not going anywhere and he's solidified in his spot, allows him to be more of a leader on that O-line instead of relying on Armstead, right? If Connor can be the one who's more vocal about coverage, blitz packages, pickups, and all that stuff, and really orchestrate the O-line on the field, then we should see an improvement. You know what I mean? We should see an improvement, because I really do think the Dolphins are invested in Hunt, right? They really do like him, and he played well for a majority of the season. Same thing with Austin Jackson. He had a lot of dumbass penalties, but there was a lot of good blocking from that kid, and he's learning that position as he goes. So for all the questions that people may have about the offensive line, I feel like we're going to see a lot of that be answered. Also by having Tua back there. That's going to be a big time beneficiary part of the offense, having Tua back in the huddle. And I say that because that shows that his mental maturity, Joel, has gone up another level. Last year, we kind of willed him through our TV sets, right? To be like, yo, get rid of the ball earlier. Get rid of it. You're taking this hit unnecessary, right? Now I think that he is aware of that, and he realizes that he still has the next play could be the bigger play. Doesn't have to do it right now. The next play could be the bigger play. And just from him maturing like that mentally, being able to take the hits, knowing how to take a hit, knowing how to fall back, and really taking that challenge onto himself, shows that he's ready to be a long-term type QB. It's not about just, I'm going to rely on my athletic abilities and my heart and my strength. You know what I mean? Nah, I'm going to do things mentally the right way, which can allow my body and physicality to take over whenever I need it to. So I really think that we're going to see a different level of Tua, a smarter Tua. Not necessarily saying that he's not going to take as many risks, because when you have this much offensive power, you have to take risk. But I think he's just going to be a lot smarter about it. And it's just going to be a better version of this Tua that we've seen here. There's no question about it that Mike McDaniel loves this guy, right? And he loves this guy for a reason, for what he brings to the table and to the team. He's a really accurate thrower, can throw deep balls, knows when to run. Now he learned how to take hits, right? And not when to take hits. He's probably going to be the most complete version of a Tua that we've seen. So if we get that version of Tua, based off what we saw last year in the early parts of that Tua, man, how could the new evolutionary tool not be that much better? It's going to be a lot better, which is why I mentioned the offense being able to get down the field with ease and score touchdowns. It's not going to be struggling.
We saw it last year, bro. When he's healthy, we can get down, we can score in the red zone, make big plays, all that stuff. He just needs to stay healthy. And I think, you mentioned it. Part of it is you gotta get rid of the ball sooner, man. We got to get rid of the ball sooner. I hope that they worked on that this offseason. I hope that was a priority number one for Tua besides learning how to take hits, because there was times where it's like, man, you can clearly see, man, like, how do you not know that you're holding the ball too long? Like, you just have had, like, something should go off in your head, like, wait a minute, like,
something's wrong here.
There's something wrong. Like, it's taking way too long right now. Get rid of the ball, man. So hopefully that's an adjustment that's made. I'm curious also, for this defense, man. New coordinator, new system. A lot of great pieces. I just want to see how it all comes together against, especially first game of the season is a test for us with an explosive offense in the Chargers.
Yeah.
So I want to see how we match up against, that unit that has been together, meshing together for the last couple of years. How does somebody like Fangio operate against that offense and how do we compete against those guys?
I think he's going to have to take, into account how to slow down Herbert is by getting to Herbert. And there's been a lot of talk about Chris Wilkins' contract situation and what the Dolphins expect for him as far as a sacks number goes for this year. I think that we're going to find ways to blitz him in ways that only Fangio can think of, but just put that extra pressure on quarterbacks this year. And hopefully these guys do a good enough job as far as getting that pressure or beating the first man in order to get to the second level. I also think that the defense is going to be heavily reliant on the cornerback play. I don't know if you noticed, but Kader Kohu got that starting spot opposite of Xavier Howard
for the time being,
while Jalen is out. And I think that spoke, highly of how Kader has really taken this role to be his and really put himself as a true number two, right? And then that's crazy because then we'll have two number ones and a number two as far as a defensive backfield. Yeah, man, I think that he's going to use those guys. He's going to use Brandon Jones. He's going to use a healthy Javon Holland, right? And put those guys in positions where, yeah, the team is going to do a blitz, but if you're in this area, be looking for the ball in order to make the turnovers. And I think that's where we're going to see the impact in the game against the Chargers. I feel like we're going to force the Chargers into a lot of turnovers, where we're forcing them to throw the ball. I don't think they want to rely on Eckler getting, 25 touches as far as a running back running the ball. Nah. I think they're looking more to get him the ball in the open field.
Yeah, and that's the dangerous part too. If you're bringing the house, you're blitzing, and you're also playing man in the zone, man back, in the field. Then that exposes, Eckler for those screens, those little dump off screens, and when he's in open field, you know how deadly he is. But I think that's the key, man. We got to get to Herbert. We got to, just kind of cut him off at the head, which is they're going to be their quarterback. If we can get to him, we can slow those guys down. But they're definitely we're underdogs in this game. We're on the road. They're at home. This is not it's not going to be an easy season opener for the Dolphins
or for them either, right?
No, because definitely not for them.
I feel like it's going to be not necessarily a low scoring game like 14-17, but like it's not going to be an offensive output from either team, right? It's going to be probably the first team who can get into the 30s or close to the 30s to win the game. I just think that the Dolphins defense is much better than the Chargers defense, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Like I'm expecting Chubb and Zeller to have really good games on Sunday, and especially off of Zach getting that contract and getting paid. I think that he recognizes that within this defense, he's going to be in a position to make big plays. Not just make the tackle like we saw him do a bunch last year or whatnot. Make the big play, get the sack, get the guy in the backfield for 4-yard loss or something like that, As far as Eckler, you mentioned something like, he's going to have space, but that's where I think Fangio is going to be betting on, that the guys that he has in defensive back position are going to be able to make the tackle early. The first guy make the tackle, not the second guy. If you can, as a defensive back, if you can be the first guy to the ball and be the first guy to take down the guy, then more often than not, you're doing your job as a defense because that's a short yard carry or catch, right?
Yeah.
In most cases. So, those guys have been good. Cam Smith played really well.
Yeah, the Rook's been great. I
Right?
mean, where is he standing right now? Third, fourth? In
He's
depth chart, probably?
Third.
Third.
Yeah.
I mean, he's played a good enough. And the only reason you don't give him the second spot, over Kohu is because he is the Rook and he didn't, overly. He got burned on a couple plays. Like he wasn't like perfect. You know what I mean? But that tells you a lot right there. The fact that he is in that spot. Yeah. I expect to see a lot of him on Sunday as well. But
we know that Ramsey and Jeff Wilson Jr. are going to be out for 4 weeks at least, right? They're on the pup,
which is another interesting point. So we only have really 2 healthy running backs with releasing of or waiving of Myles Gaskin, who's now with the Vikings. That leaves us with Salvon Ahmed behind Raheem Mostert because the rookie A-Chain is dealing with an injury, and Jeff Wilson, like you just said, is out for the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, but I think they were just being cautious with the rookie. I think the rookie's going to show that he is better. Like, I think that's the reason why they got rid of Gaskins so easily, because they know that the rook is better than Gaskins right now.
I don't even think it was that. I think the decision was Ahmed. Because the Rook is, you draft him, dog. You know you're gonna keep that guy. It's not like I'm gonna. I have to. No, it's you have these 2 other guys in Gaskin and Ahmed, and we had to make a decision on that. And Ahmed was the bigger body, better, prototypical running back. You know what I mean? Like Gaskin's a little bit undersized and all that, so it made sense. Why we went with what we went with. But when they're all healthy, bro, those 4 running backs all together,
nasty.
I mean, it's gonna be a phenomenal running back room. Not the best in the NFL, but you got a deep running back room, man, with 4 guys that are fast, explosive, can make plays.
I'm glad you brought that up because what we saw in the preseason, which I think is encouraging for this running back room, is the amount of carries that they were given to the running backs. I think that's going to be a way that we protect Tua this year.
Yep.
Right? Where we give an extra 7 carries in a game or 5 to 7 plays where you're running the ball extra, right?
More of a balanced play call.
Yeah.
You got to get the ball on the ground. Can't have Tua throwing for 50 throws.
No, and we saw that Mostert could hold on to it, right? Like he wasn't necessarily prone to turning over the ball. He had one or 2 games where he fumbled, but that was like, it's pretty normal over a 17-game season. I just think that the commitment to the run on offense is going to be heavily imposed this year. It's going to be heavily imposed. It probably makes it easier for Tua to even throw the longer ball, right? Get 7, 8 guys in the box. Now you're talking about true one-on-one coverage with either Waddle or Hill. Just bodes well for this offense, man.
I'm not worried about the offense, dog. I'm not. It's the defense,
I'm not worried about the defense.
Well, I have the concerns are, we talked about them already. Vic Fangio, first year, and then also it's the beginning. It's the first year, first game of the season. Last year, what did we see? A lot of shitty tackling. Not people not wrapping up. People getting away. 2, 3 guys making contact, not taking down their guy, and it's like. We can't have that. Like that's right there is what changes, whether you're in the playoffs or not. So we need to make sure, like, I want to see how sharp we look. You know what I mean? Like, do we look like we're in midseason form game 1?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, right? Terran Armstead is
game time decision right now, right? We also have Mike White, who won the backup QB job over Skylar Thompson, which was an interesting decision.
Last year, we won our first game of the season against the Patriots. Remember, 20-7.
Yep.
Tua had 270 yards that game. Does he go over or under for this game against the Chargers?
275.
270 was his number last year.
I think he goes over that. I'm going to go over.
All right. Now, can you remember who our leading rusher was for that game?
For game 1 last year?
Yeah.
The way you're asking it is going to lead me to believe it wasn't Raheem Mostert.
Nah.
He was probably hurt or something like that.
He wasn't. He played in that game.
Did he play? Okay. Yeah. Was it Myles Gaskin?
It was Chase Edmonds, sir.
Oh, I forgot we had Edmonds.
With a high of 25 yards.
How many attempts, though? How many total attempts rushing did we have?
We had 23 as a team.
How many passing attempts for Tua?
33.
That was probably the most balanced that we had all season.
That was it. Yeah, that was it. The rest of it was like between 18 and 22 for the rest of the season as far as carries.
Drastic difference.
So obviously we're both going on the over for that, right? For Mostert. Because I think that
100%.
He's gonna be the guy who benefits the most from this new year of offense behind this offense. Yeah. So,
but if you want to go over unders, let's talk season long picture. Let's just not focus on the one game. That's what we're gonna have for OnlyFans.
Speaking of OnlyFans, we gotta put a pin on that.
Put a pin on that.
All right,
we'll come back to that. But over under for Tua, 5,000 yards passing.
Slightly under. Slightly under. And if it is slightly under, I'll be okay with it as long as that means that one of our running backs has over 1,000 yards rushing.
Okay.
So I'll take that. I'll take that. That little hit on Tua not being 5,000 yards if it means that we get a running back with 1,000 yards rushing.
Over under on passing touchdowns for the year.
I'm going at least
30. Over under.
I'll go over. I'll say 31. 31. I think he can do 31.
Okay. I like it. Over under. No, or sorry.
Okay.
True or false? Let's go true or false on this one.
Okay.
True or false?
What is it?
Tyreek and Jalen Waddle combined for over 3,000 yards.
Yeah, true.
3,000?
Yeah. Because
think about that. If they do that,
think about it
Tua
this
has
way.
to throw for 5.
Not necessarily.
For 3.
Not necessarily, because Tua can still throw for 4,500. The reason being, right, is that there isn't another guy who emerges in order to get enough catches or to put up big performances, right? Like before, we would look at the tight end position and be like, all right, that's easily 600 yards that's being gained there, 700 yards that's being gained there, right? Because of who was there. Now that person's not there. So I don't know if the tight end or any other wide receiver is going to be exposed enough to the ball, right, in order to make that big difference. Like Braxton Berrios, dog, he's going to have 3 catches, 75 yards damn near every game in order to make up, having 600 yards or 750 yards on a season in order to help push towards over that 5,000. That's why I say that. Like, so much offense is going to come between Hill and Waddle that there may not be enough room for anybody else to get up close to that. That's the only way you realistically, because think about it. That's put them over 3,000 yards, then you're talking about another 2,000 yards between what? 6 guys? Can they do that, dog?
I mean,
now, if it happens,
even the 3,000 yard is a tough feat, man, between 2 guys.
Not necessarily,
you're talking
dog.
Each of them got to have 1,500. If not,
homie, they were on pace for it last year.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Let's be real. Tua plays 5 more games, they probably do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Right? So that's why I say that. It'd be crazy. That's why I said it earlier. I think the fluidity of this offense should be at that level, where we're clicking on all cylinders from the time the game starts. Not like, let's run 4 series and then see how we get into this game. No. Right. Series 1, march it down. Let's get 6.
I got one last one for you.
Shoot.
Dolphins, games 1.
Fuck.
Over under 12. I'm going to set my own over-under. I'm sure the Vegas over-under is like 9.5.
Bro,
I'm going to say 12. Fuck that.
12. 12 is high, dog.
We got to win 12,
12
though.
and 5, Woody.
I'll give you 11. I'll split the difference between what Vegas has and what I just threw out there. Give me 11. Over-under, 11.
It has to be over. It has to be 11.
You feel me?
At the very minimum, we have to win because 12 gets you the division. Let's be honest. In order for you to be AFC East champion this year, you got to win 12 football games. Bills have shown it. The Bills have shown it. That's the number you got to reach in order to be the division champ, right? Can the Dolphins get there? Yeah. But we would have to beat, a lot of good football teams outside of our division this year.
Yeah. You want to put it in perspective? The Dolphins have, according to the NFL and ESPN,
the second
hardest schedule this season.
I don't put that much stock into that, though.
I mean, you got to take that into a little consideration because the reason is though because of the fact that we play everybody in our division twice, obviously,
right?
And our division is stacked. We have like the second best division in football, like it's overall, hard. If not the best, like the hardest, most competitive division in all of NFL.
That's cool though. That's okay though. I don't. Every year is a different year. That's why I don't like that. Oh, based off of last year, bro. Players left, players came.
Of course.
They're not going to be the same exact team. Yeah. Just like the Dolphins aren't going to be the same exact team. Yeah. So,
but I think 10 games. I think it's not enough to really like put your stamp.
No,
like
it starts with game 1, dog.
I think it's 12, dog. I think that number is 12. I think you got to win. You got to go out there this year and win 12 games. It's not going to be easy.
No,
there's games that are real tough, but to solidify your position as a playoff contender, you got to give us 12.
Super obvious to say, but it really falls or comes down to the games that are outside of our division. Starts with game 1 with facing an AFC opponent in the Chargers. Go out there and beat them. Put yourself in a position where you have a tiebreaker against another possible AFC playoff opponent or contender. Put yourself in those positions. Beat a team like Denver, who we faced this year. Got to go out there and beat a Kansas City, even though we're playing on another side of the world. Go out there and beat them.
Super Bowl.
Go out there and beat them. Go out there and beat them.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Beat a Tennessee, another AFC team that can make a playoff run. You got to beat those teams.
Yeah.
You got to beat Baltimore. Like, those are teams outside of our division within the conference that you have to win. Those are the games that are going to make the difference for us, dog.
Facts.
Starts with game 1 this Sunday, 4:25 is kickoff in California. Gonna be dope, man.
Now,
I got the Dolphins winning.
I mean,
by at least 12 points.
We're not even going to go in
by
on
at
that.
least 12
we know
points.
what side we're leaning. But I wanted to ask you, my friend.
Let's take the pin.
If somehow, some way, somebody doesn't get a chance to watch the game, it doesn't have time to watch the game, wanted a quick recap, some analysis.
There's only one thing they can do.
What do they got to do, my friend?
There's only one thing they can do.
My friend.
They have to go to the Sports with SoSo YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, put the notifications on. That's that little bell button. I don't know if you guys really know what that means. That's what that's for.
Okay.
And then you get introduced to OnlyFans.
Bam, ba-dam. Oh, yeah, I actually have the both of that. Thanks.
OnlyFans, baby, season 2 kicking off, and we got a new format for this year. We got a new member joining the squad too. It's gonna be Joel, the Dolphins fan. We got Martin,
You're butchering these nicknames.
No, I'm not saying.
You got myself, the delusional Dolphin fan.
You're the delusional Dolphin fan.
You got my
Everybody
dog
knows.
Martin Ortega, the skeptic.
He's
and
the
now
skeptic.
We got the new cast member.
Introduce him.
The boy Rax, dog. You
Yes,
guys know him. Holds it down in the 365 videos.
Shout out to Rax.
And he's a hardcore Dolphins fan, probably just as delusional as me.
A little bit more grounded, but
maybe a little bit more grounded sometimes, you know. But I know he's definitely gonna be
hardcore.
He's gonna be on my side of some arguments.
Maybe.
You know.
Depends on the game, depends on the outcome. But like, if you're asking about where you can go to get one good recap as far as a fan's perspective goes, it's only OnlyFans.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only place you can get that.
And then, of course, we forgot to mention it's going to be moderated by yours truly over there.
Yeah.
So we'll be hosting it.
And I think it's going to be something new and exciting that the fans can get behind as well, right? It's a little bit more interactive for you guys, so you'll be able to leave comments on the videos when we drop them, and you'll be guaranteed to get them every time the Dolphins play football. We're going to give you an immediate reaction to what we just saw on the football field, man. And hopefully it's a lot more dubs than losses this year. Let's go, man.
Yeah, I can't wait, dog.
Make sure you subscribe, though.
Can't get here soon enough.
It's the only way you can get it. You go to Sports with SoSo on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, baby. Now, let's talk about a guy who's definitely heading towards a playoff push in himself. That's Lionel Messi taking Inter Miami CF on his back and saying, "Let's ride." Not like what's his name from Denver? Let's ride, bro.
SoSo?
Yeah, big time SoSo.
Nah, yeah, Messi's the GOAT, dog.
That guy. What can we say about that guy?
Hasn't lost a game.
No, undefeated in the MLS, 2 wins, 1 draw. And that's what we were talking about last time, Joel, where he doesn't necessarily have to win every single game out there. But you look now, they're already out of last place in the division or in the conference. And now they're, 8 points behind the playoff round instead of being like 14 points where they started before they got Messi. Like, those little things in soccer makes the races interesting, right? Because it's anybody can go out there and win any game of the season. Now, we just beat a very tough opponent in the Los Angeles FC, who have been MLS champs, have very high-profile players, and they literally one of the best teams out there.
Yeah, they're third in their conference.
Yeah, and Inter Miami went out there and took care of business, and you would think, well, maybe Messi scored all the goals. Nope, guy didn't even score.
No, but he had an assist.
Had 2 assists.
Well, he assisted on both goals.
Both goals. You know what I mean? To put us in that position. Once to go ahead, and then they scored to tie it up, and then boom, we went ahead again, and it was lights out after that. But if you think about it, like his impact from that position that he plays, we saw it on the world scale, and now so many people are paying more attention to it because it's happening in the MLS and in our own backyard. But like, there are really hard things to do, and this guy is making it look very easy. And it kind of begs the question, is the MLS talent good enough? But every single article that I've been reading recently in the last 2 weeks is saying how the level of MLS is starting to improve a lot more quicker than what they expected, not only because of Messi, but because of the talent that other teams continue to bring in to kind of deal with the Messi problem. kind of weird to see it growing that fast when people didn't expect it. People thought that Messi was just going to come in and dominate, but it hasn't been that. It's been tough games played.
He's been dominating, dog.
Yeah, but
these guys are trying their hardest
to kill him.
Trying, like you just said, they're bringing guys up and they're signing guys they weren't signing before, and running plays and schemes that they haven't done before. They haven't needed to because they haven't faced a player like Lionel Messi. This guy's the GOAT. Anything you do is not going to be enough. We saw it. We've seen it years and years. Like, this guy is playing with children out there, bro. And even though he might not be the one scoring, he knows how to get the ball in the feet of the right person to set that up. I mean, the passes that he had to set up the goals were unbelievable.
That pass to Jordi Alba,
you're not going to get them from anybody else in the MLS, which is, I always go back to our first conversation on this when we.
But that's why I disagree right there. You will get them from MLS. They're not gonna look like Messi passes, dog. Like.
Okay, sure, but I go back to the first time we spoke about it when I asked you who's the best player actively in the MLS, and that guy couldn't hold a candle to Messi, dog. And then now you brought in a couple guys that know how to play at a high level, like whenever LeBron likes to move around and bring guys because they already know how to work with him and know how to play. You know how he plays and all that.
Right.
That's what he just did now. So it's like, Papa, we need to see them like. Be human again. Like, once they lose, we'll be like, oh shit, he is human again. But right now, that guy's in sicko God mode.
Yeah. No, he's just being himself.
And he's elevating our team. Like, forget about the MLS and what they're doing. He's elevating the rest of our team to play at a level that they hadn't been at before.
But if you look at the stats, Joel, yes, he's elevating the team, right? Because of his abilities. The other guys are actually putting in the work of being able to finish goals, being in the right position to do something with the crosses or the good passes or, the second pass from a Messi pass. Those guys are really doing their best in order to get the attention on themselves. And 4 of those guys got called up to their national teams to go play an international break, which is happening right now for a majority of them, right?
Dope.
Which is, again, shows that their hard work, if they're put on a good team, that they can perform like that. And they just happen to need a guy like Messi who can do all things, right, to really showcase the best talents. But the MLS does have those type of players. It's just not as often that we see them. It's 32 teams in there. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of teams, so the talent is going to be spread out. But case in point, we just beat the shit out of LAFC, and that's a good squad. That's a really good squad. And again, Messi was pulling the strings and doing his thing. And those are things that we can come to expect from Messi, but it also takes the part of the guys finishing the goals. And we saw that. And that's the X factor, which is why I believe, yes, Messi's going to help them not lose a lot of games, but what's going to help them win all those games in order to make the playoffs is being in the right position and having that confidence about themselves. Soccer is a game that you got to have that mental belief in yourself to be like, yeah, I can score this goal. I can do this. You would think that Leo would already have the most goals, but right now Campana has scored in every game of the last 3 games, which have been MLS games. Campana has been in position to be the goal scorer and makes the most of the opportunities being presented to him. Takes a special guy to do that. Not saying he's the best, or could be the best, but you have to still put in that work to make those easy goals go in that easy. It's not as easy as it looks.
I mean, I know they keep winning and we keep doing well. And some of it is MLS and some of them are other tournaments or whatever, but I mean, I'm still looking at them second to last in the conference, bro. Even though I know they're only 8 points away from a playoff spot.
Yep.
But I don't know how many more games are left. I mean, I feel like they only have a few left.
But look at the important thing there. Everybody else is around 27 games, 28 games. Inter Miami's at 25 games. So they have an extra 2 games in hand on top of everybody else. So they'll have a really good advantage as far as getting to be able to make up those points. And if you look at their schedule, they're not necessarily playing the best of the best right now. They just beat LAFC, right? Now they have a next game on Saturday against Sporting Kansas City, which is a team that's not necessarily doing well this year. They're currently, 11th in the Western Conference. They're probably not going to make the playoffs. So Inter Miami can go out there and feast. Then they play a tough team in Atlanta, right? Who's just ahead of them right now, 42 points on the season, currently 6th in the Eastern Conference. But that's a team that's made the playoffs, has made deep runs in the MLS playoffs. Good barometer for the Inter Miami to see where they're at. Then you got to go up and play Toronto, a worse team than Inter Miami right now. So you get to feast on them. So that's a a possible 9 points that they can make up right there while beating teams that are either around them or ahead of them. Very easy to make up. And it wouldn't surprise me to see this team achieve what we talked about, where they can put themselves in a position where those last 5 games of October are really for them to put themselves between 5 and 8 as far as positioning in the playoffs. And then once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. But their next 4 games are going to be all MLS games. Like I said, they got Sporting Kansas City, Atlanta United, then they're playing Toronto FC, and before wrapping up in Orlando. I think that out of those 4 games, they're going to be able to do exactly what they've done in these 3 games. Win 3, not lose 1, possibly draw, tie another game. That in itself would be a huge jump in the standings for Inter Miami. And all because of the guy that they brought in to pull the strings, which is Messi. What an accomplishment to do that, bro. And it's just crazy.
Guy's a goat.
He is, man. It's crazy to see that shit happening. And everybody's tuned in, bro.
That's must-see TV, bro. Did you see how many stars were at that Galaxy game?
Wild. Everybody dying to take a picture with your boy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this dude is living the rock star life right now in the MLS. And I think that is just going to bode well for Miami. That would be the 5th team that makes the playoffs in a calendar, quote-unquote, year of sports.
Wow.
Fucking wild,
Love
man.
that, bro.
South Florida is where it's at.
We need a ship, though, man.
We need a championship.
We need somebody to bring us a ship.
I'm not going to lie. We need a championship.
Possibly you.
Could be you. Investors. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
I got to give 5 minutes at least to the Miami Hurricanes.
Nah, dog.
Yeah, you know why? 6. Nah, let's give them a little bit of love because
6.
After all the shit that happened last year with them, right, and how underwhelming the season ended, and like just the struggles that we had through the Cristobal first year, I was really looking forward to seeing these dudes step up and play well and ball. And there have been a lot of games where we come out first game of the season and we look whack and we don't do this well, and the game is hard for us to win, but we end up winning it anyways. This 38-3 victory over Miami of Ohio to start the season was exactly what I wanted to see, bro. We saw Tyler Van Dyke makes easy throws, right? Get himself comfortable, get himself into the rhythm of the game, right? A lot of screens, which Vic pointed out was going to be the main point of attack. And then we saw something that we didn't see last year with the Hurricanes, a commitment to the run. We saw a solid split of 9 carries each between our first 3 backs, and they all performed really well. I'm talking about big runs, strong runs, and touchdown runs. Harry Parrish Jr. had 9 carries for 90 yards with a touchdown. Mark Fletcher Jr., 9 carries, 76 yards with a touchdown. Jay Allen, 9 carries, 47 yards, no touchdowns, but had a 16-yard run. That type of running game had been missing in a lot of Hurricanes games where we were just depending on scoring touchdowns by the long ball, throwing it deep, throwing it here, throwing it there. And we never really saw it be established early in the games, kind of like the Dolphins. And we were like, bro, why don't these teams run the ball? This first game really set the tone for me as far as what I can expect them to try to do things first in games. They'll rely on other things, but I know that the Hurricanes are going to be trying to establish a run first offense for the rest of the year. How it goes, we'll see, right? Miami of Ohio isn't the greatest of football opponents, but to go out there at home, get a good win on the season, put up touchdowns, look comfortable while doing it, have an easy game for your running back, for your quarterback, let your wide receivers get a chance to catch the ball and run and make plays. I felt like it was the perfect opening game that the Hurricanes could have asked for, bro. And I'm glad that they had it, especially heading into this big matchup against Texas A&M.
Good warm-up game. It was almost like a preseason game.
Yeah, and sometimes you need that, right?
What are they, like a tune-up fight?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It was a tune-up game, the battle for Miami. Obviously, Miami, Florida is the greatest Miami out there, so
of course.
Don't get it twisted, Ohio. Ohio sucks. But now we got a tougher test, this week, going to, a ranked opponent. First ranked opponent again of the year in Texas A&M.
And Texas A&M isn't a joke, right? They're ranked 23rd right now. They're 1-0 on the season. But according to the analytics, the Hurricanes have a real legitimate shot of beating this team by forcing them to come into a hostile environment. It's going to be a 3:30 kickoff, fucking hot if you know anything about that. And I don't think they get that type of heat in Texas, right? Especially where they're from. And if all things aside, I really do think that the Hurricanes have the better of the 2 quarterbacks. Now, that's going to depend on how well the Hurricanes are able to run the ball, right? If we're going to let Parrish Jr. and let Fletcher do their thing, I like that we have Restrepo. I like that Colby Young had a big play, right? 44 yards.
First touchdown of the game.
Right? Super big play. I like that he showed that ability. I like that Riley Williams got to play a little bit. Jacoby George has 6 catches, looked really good and comfortable out there. I like seeing that. I want to see it consistently happen week in, week out. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be the ones making the big time plays, but I want to see the consistency of performances, right? You get 6, 7 targets, make 6 catches. You're a kid, you're not a professional. I expect you to, at the worst, have 5 catches, not be 3 of 7. That's a detriment to the team, especially a team that doesn't necessarily have big home run hitters. We have a lot of consistent guys, and that can work if we do it consistently. I think that this next game against Texas A&M is going to be a true test of Cristobal himself, right? How he prepares his kids mentally to be on the big stage and to be in front of the big cameras again, right? Because it's going to be a main type of game, 3:30 ABC, nationwide game. So people are going to be looking at Miami Hurricanes football to see if it's really back under the Cristobal program. This could be a huge statement win, really give himself a lot of momentum and energy for the rest of the season, because that other team that we're going to be facing in the ACC later on this year, FSU, went out there and put up an impressive ass kicking of LSU. And that's a team that we're going to have to hope to compete against later on. How can we get prepared for big game matchups like that? Take care of business at home over a really good opponent in Texas A&M. And I think that they can do it. I really do think so.
They got to.
They have to.
They got to.
Yes, they have to. They have to. You know why? Because this program has been long overdue for a big win. Big notable win, right? Under a big name coach with a big name program, right? With the availability of the conference being open. We saw Duke beat the shit out of Clemson 28-7 in their home opener at Duke. Kind of leads me to believe that the rest of the ACC is open. Yeah, maybe those two teams, FSU and Clemson, are favored, but they can be beat. And if they can be beat, then why can't we be the teams that do the beating, right? That's what I'm hoping to see this year from the Hurricanes. Show up and fight in every game. Last year, we didn't get that. Some of the quarterbacks went elsewhere in the middle of the games. We had a lot of inconsistencies in the running back. We didn't really have a standout wide receiver. I'm hoping that we see consistency across the board. Defensively, I can't expect a lot from this defense right now because it's still young in the season, and they're going to have to get used to locking in. Yeah, you only allow 3 points to Miami of Ohio, but don't you dare make that mistake of comparing that type of offense against an offense like Texas A&M.
Yep.
Right? So I don't expect them to have that type of performance, but don't give up big plays, right? Don't give up 80-yard touchdowns, 75-yard touchdowns. Keep yourself within it. If they do score, make them work for it. 80 yards, 70-yard drive, 60-yard drive. All right, cool. We'll get them on the next one. Let's find a way to get a turnover. That's going to be the way that the Hurricanes win that game against Texas A&M. Force them into long drives, force them to work hard for their points while making it easier for yourself to be on the field by running the ball. Hopefully those two things happen. Let's see.
Oh, yeah. I just got to shout out my alma mater who tore up Kent State 56-6 in their home opener in the Bounce House. It was electric. I'm expecting a big season from these boys, possibly undefeated. They're going to go undefeated this season.
Let's see.
Let's go.
They might get invited to a big conference this year.
Let's go.
There's a lot of reshuffling going around.
Yeah, they're already on the move.
Yeah.
They're already, I think they're already re-signed.
All right.
They extended last year. They just joined. Where are we? The Big East? I don't even know what we are in.
Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, man. That Texas A&M game for the Hurricanes, 3:30, ABC. Don't miss it. Your boy SoSo is going to be in the building. So if you're going to be in the building, holla at me. The Big 12, they're making moves.
Yeah.
So is the ACC. The whole everybody wants to get paid, dog, because everybody's getting paid.
My homie told me that they're thinking that Stanford is going to be in the ACC now. Which doesn't make
Stanford, Cal, and
how are these West Coast teams
I don't know,
in the Atlantic Coastal Conference?
I don't know, man. They're going to have to figure some shit out.
College football's a mess, dude.
It's a mess. They're going to have to figure some shit out, bro. Before we get out of here, we got 3 quick honorable mentions.
Yeah.
I mentioned it earlier. The Panthers are getting ready to start their season September 25th. I I think that the question for the Panthers this year is going to be how good can they be this season? We've seen them be amazing in the regular season and be whack in the post. We see them being whatever in the regular season and then amazing in the postseason. Like, what's the real Florida Panthers team really look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we got plenty of time for that.
Yeah, we have time, but that's like that one thing that I'm like, dog, I don't know what to expect with this Panthers team. All the franchises, I feel like we got them like pretty much down pat.
Yeah,
this is the one team with the question mark.
Figuring it out. Last year was a questionable, season.
So
even
weird.
though we made it to the Stanley Cup for the first time in over 25 years.
Yeah,
the way we lost that series was not indicative of the rest of our playoff run. So
weird.
It's going to be interesting to see, how do we bounce back?
Yeah. Oh, look, you know what? Speaking of the USA performance in the FIBA World Cup, just beat the shit out of Italy, 163.
Yeah, so we're still moving on.
Moving on up.
So we lost to Lithuania, right?
Yeah, We're moving.
Because we had already won that group or whatever.
Correct. Quick question. I wanted to get your thoughts. Joel, you're the golf guy, golf expert on this show. Victor Hovland winning the FedEx Cup. What'd you think about that? Hell of a great end of the season by him, right?
Yeah, a great end of the season. Kids playing lights out right now. FedEx
Really
Cup,
is.
it don't mean shit to me. I mean, the FedEx Cup is a bullshit, title sponsor name that the PGA worked in there. But no, it was exciting, man. He played a hell of a round, played a hell of a closing, to the season, and just got a whole lot richer now with that, and heading into the Ryder Cup with a whole lot of momentum for the Euros. So
pretty dope.
You gotta be happy for the kid, man. The ups and downs that he's had and the woes that he's had, whether it was short game or was it putting or whatever. He's one of the purest ball strikers on tour,
showing that he could win.
Now he got the short stuff figured out, and it's like he's taking his game to another level, and it could be scary. You could be talking about potential world number one at some point for
or even possible Masters major tournament winner this year, right?
That's going to be the
next level.
You can win as many FedEx Cups as you want. Like, how many major trophies are in your trophy case?
Yeah, for sure. Last thing before we wrap up, the NBA schedule was released.
Yeah,
we saw that the Miami Heat got a Christmas Day game finally against Philadelphia at 8 p.m.
Woo, woo.
It's gonna be dope. So Miami Heat basketball on Christmas Eve. That's on Christmas Day. That's gonna be dope.
Love that.
I love it, man. I feel like we were snubbed the past couple of years as far as getting a primetime game, and now people recognize that the Heat are for real. Well, even though like all we do is make finals and Eastern Conference finals, but whatever.
Hey, it's all good, bro. Let them hate.
Small things.
Let them hate, dog.
Let them hate. Still no Damian Lillard.
No word on that, dog.
Day 1,462 of the Dame Lillard saga.
The saga. There's good there. I can't wait to see that 30 for 30 on this.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. But yeah, cool shit. Heat start the season at home finally against Detroit. It's gonna be dope.
Beautiful.
October 25th. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good tune-up fight right there.
That's a good. That's a good tune-up fight for sure, man. You know what time it is though, dog? It's time to tell the people. To tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell another friend.
To go tell another friend.
To go tell one more friend about going to our YouTube page, hitting the subscribe button, and making sure the notifications are on. Dolphins football is back, and so is OnlyFans. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this season, y'all. Until next time, peace.